Right, and welcome back to Slasher and the Final Girls. If you are new to us, we do bi-monthly episodes, the first being a full movie analysis where our CSIs dissect those iconic death scenes, and then I'll discuss why those movies are considered scary to some. And the second episode, which is what you're watching, are where we discuss the things that we've consumed in horror for the month of April. So starting off strong, Austin, what did you consume this month?
Well, it wasn't horror, but first series I was watching via Netflix just came out. It's brand new. It was like I watched Night Agent, which was like a government conspiracy show, which was entertaining, so I watched it. Um, but then I also watched movies. I watched Knowing, which I've seen before, and I was just in the mood for watching Knowing, something in the background at least, which focuses on the fear of knowing when you're gonna die. Not how, but just when. Like this date I'm gonna die. I don't know how, but how to cope with that. And then I also watched Runaway Jury because I was on a Cusack thing. So that came out in 23. I watched that on Paramount. Um, and that's scary in regard to how the U.S. legal system works. I don't know if it was accurate, really, but it could be
We could,
scary.
me and you could talk
Like,
about how scary the U.S. legal system works all day, every day, couldn't we, pal?
yeah. Oh, yeah. But this one was in the view of like the jury members. So
Oh,
I want to see how I like that aspect of like the jury aspect or the viewpoint of a court case. So that was fun. I want to see there's a jury show on I think Netflix right now where it's a comedy. I want to give that a try. See how that goes. Anyways, but then I also watched The Thing, but the remake from 2011 on Netflix, just because it, you know, gave me some good ideas for Dungeons and Dragons and mimics.
yes.
So I watched that, and that one actually stars what's her face, Mary Elizabeth Winston, which you may know her from. She played fucking Huntress in Birds of Prey, which was the sequel of Harley Quinn. And then she also played Ramona Flowers in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So that's probably one that you'll remember a lot better than Huntress. And then I watched Cadaver from 2020, but it was brand new to Netflix, but it came out in 2020. It's a foreign film, and it doesn't give you a new concept of post-apocalyptic world with people trying to survive. It's not a new concept. I'm not going to give it away because that's like a key mystery of the movie. Um, but it was an interesting take on that portrayal and how they went and told it, which I thought was interesting and new um, for a fake part of uh, um, survival in post-apocalyptic world. The cinematography at the beginning of the movie was pretty cool. They had a couple different aspects of film shots, but then it went to basic, what they do all the time, like especially since Matrix just blew everything away with that camera rotation at high speed. But it was overall a good movie. If as long as you're okay with dubs or subtitles, you'll be good with watching Cadaver on Netflix.
I think I live with subtitles. I'm one of those who can't really understand what's happening anyway, and even in my own language.
That's true.
So I kind of wish
Yeah.
life had subtitles because I can't hear people
Right.
sometimes.
Well, there was an article that came out that specifically why that's the case is because the films are designed for theater audio quality, and average people at home don't have that, so it doesn't come out the same way. So everyone is using subtitles now.
Oh, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I watched.
Excellent.
Cool.
All the
Well,
horror stuff.
they were traveling this month, so I was left alone with my TV for far too often. So the first one I saw, and I do not know why, because everyone who I've told I've watched was like, really? I finally watched Terrifier 1 and 2.
I don't know why you did this. Why did you do this?
I am still trying
She
to
hates
recover.
herself.
My note under this was, oh dear God, no. Um, if you are okay with unnecessary torture porn type movies, there you go. Very concerned for you. But yeah, I am rattled. I am shook. I am not happy. Um, yeah, but
I
some
don't
good ones
blame
I
you
saw.
because, like, we all know that I love gore, but even that was too much for me. It was so gross, dude. And if I don't like it, when you said that, when you texted saying that you saw it, I was like, wait, what? I'm like, oh
Wow.
no, she's not going to be okay, man.
I saw it to desensitize myself before I saw Evil Dead, and I
Uh,
told one of my coworkers that I saw it before we saw Evil Dead, and he was like, "How you doing?" I was like, "I'm not okay," and he goes, "Yeah, why?" I was like, "I don't know." I should have checked the content warnings. Check content warnings, everyone.
yep.
But I did see The Offering, which is on Hulu, and I can't decide what year it came out because I have some sources telling me it came out 2022, some are saying 2023. It's a fun little atmospheric horror, so the exact opposite of the Terrifier. You're going to have a very spooky setting, great soundtrack, and something that I'm really enjoying lately that's been on Hulu is that there's a lot of Jewish folklore horror films on Hulu. So you have The Lullaby, which follows Lilith, and this one follows Abizu. So it's really cool kind of seeing different cultures and their religions get a moment. Um, I liked it. The When you saw the demon, the CGI was absolutely terrible, but if you're fine working past that, it was a fun little atmospheric horror. Next one I saw in theaters was Renfield, and was really
Nice.
excited for Renfield, but it was not as funny as I was hoping it was going to be. And I put in my notes my favorite part of the movie was at the end when I spoke to my coworkers about it because I found out what a nerd one of my coworkers is and how much he's into Dracula lore, and that Renfield was in the books. And so I'm interested. I'm definitely going to see the Demeter with the same coworker because it's another Dracula film. Hoping it's a little bit more on par with the content, or not content, just like the book. I saw
So
Evil Dead in
Renfield is a
theaters.
real. Sorry. So Renfield is a real character.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's
Renfield
really
is a
cool.
real character. It's one of the original, or he's one of the original familiars in Dracula, and
Oh,
the background story that they give of how he was kind of manipulated to working with Dracula, quite similar. He eats bugs for his power, very similar in the book, according to my coworker.
Gonna get sad, Nikki.
I know.
So I thought that was cool. I am not as caught up with the Dracula specific lore. Like, I follow vampire stuff, but I also read Twilight. So I just think vampires are cool.
I agree.
And then the next thing I saw in theaters was The Evil Dead, which, despite how much I don't like gore, loved it. It's very much on par with the other Evil Dead. The gore was not unnecessary like it was for me in Terrifier. And it was smart writing. You can tell the guy who wrote the script loves Evil Dead franchise. There were a lot of nods to the original films. Of course, there's plot holes, which bothered Scott the entire time, but I thought it was so much fun.
That's on par for Scott. It's okay.
Yeah.
It is just to sit there and see this really cool film, and he's like, "Well, that one scene with this," and I'm like,
Shut
"Did
up.
we?" I am so sorry.
Suspend your disbelief.
Suspend your disbelief.
But that's him. That's why we enjoy him and keep him around.
Yep.
And then I actually read 3 books this month. The
Dang.
I'll start with like worst to best. So I'm finishing up Grady Hendrix's collection, and the first one I read, or sorry, the first kind of book that we read was We Sold Our Souls, which was released in 2018, and it was okay. There's definitely a Grady Hendrix moment where I had to put the book down and take a breather, but it was really cool because I read it during Coachella weekend. So everyone's posting their concert pictures and sharing what they're doing. I'm reading about like a metal horror concert run by demons. So
I need to read this book
next
immediately.
was These Shadows. Exactly. he he is going to be your favorite author after this. I'm so sorry, Stephen King. Next was The Shadows by Alex North. I've read his stuff before. He does The Whisper Man. You do not need to read The Whisper Man to understand The Shadows, but they do reference it. Nice, haunting psychological thriller where a grieving man returns to his hometown to kind of understand what's happening with his past traumas and brings up more trauma. And then finally, The Burning Girls, written by C.J. Tudor, who did The Chalk Man. Very kind of similar vibe, haunting, small town with a dark past, a new parish with a dark secret of her own. And it was haunting, atmospheric, and lovely. I do like CJ Tudor's writing. She does tend to write in some sexual assault scenes, which I'm not the biggest fan of. So if that's going to bother you, please do check content warnings. I usually just kind of skip forward a few pages and then I'm good. And that is it. You guys cannot leave me again, or I will watch a million movies.
Poor Courtney.
3 books about us.
Everyone's just watching the timer like, oh my god, does this woman do anything? I do have a job.
3 books? Come on, woman.
I commute, so 2 of
No,
those
I'm
books
joking.
were audiobooks, and I was bored. I'm not trying to distract you all on your vacations.
Yeah, so like Courtney said, I was traveling again this month, which is fun and exhausting at the same time. So I unfortunately haven't seen Evil Dead yet, and it's killing me. And I also haven't seen, I got a reveal here, Power Rangers. There's a new Power Rangers movie on Netflix.
I was expecting something different.
You're like,
I was
oh god,
hoping it was Dungeons and Dragons.
I haven't seen that either. I'm like growing a list of movies I need to see in the theater. But anyway,
at least 5.
I love how well-rounded you guys are, and I'm like, no, nothing but horror, man. Like,
me and Austin are the complete nerds of the group. We love Dungeons and Dragons and Batman and old school, Power Rangers, Ghostbusters, these type of things. But anyway, all right, I'll get off my shenanigans for now. But I also saw Renfield. I did fit that one in. Like Courtney said, like I did enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, but I really did expect it to be funny, and to me it felt like it was like trying way too hard to be funny. Like at parts where that like you should have been laughing, I was kind of like, the comedy kind of fell flat for me. I felt like it was just trying way too hard, but I did find it really entertaining. I'm always down for a vampire movie. I think I'm starting to come into my vampire era, man. So if you got any vampire, I'm coming out of my alien. I mean, I'm always going to be in my alien stuff, but I'm coming out of my alien era into my vampire era. So if you got anything,
does this mean
send it my way?
Are we gonna have like a vampire dinner party?
I think we should. Oh my god, I totally think
that
we
is
should.
all I want in my life.
Let's go, boys.
Oh. You gotta watch the Twilight series. You gotta watch the Underworld series.
Let's go. I'm in.
Lost Boys.
You got a lot.
Oh, Lost Boys is my number one. I love Lost Boys. Let's go.
You got a lot.
All right.
Austin and I are from the area where they filmed it. It was filmed in Santa Cruz. We are an hour north of Santa Cruz.
Do they have that like whole what do you call, like where the carousel and is that real up there? Dang,
it's the boardwalk. Yeah,
that's
Santa
awesome.
Cruz Beach
but
Boardwalk.
if I remember correctly, it's not filmed in the right way that the boardwalk is actually laid out. Like all of a sudden they run one way to go to the carousel, but from where they are, the carousel is actually the other way. But nobody knows the boardwalk. So it's
Apparently you do. Yeah.
I do.
There
That's
are
great.
certain
That's really
people
cool.
like from that area who are so obsessed with the boardwalk because it's kind of like an iconic culture for Northern California,
Uh-huh.
and they'll let
That's
you know.
cool.
You they'll let you know.
Yeah.
Don't you worry.
Well, yeah,
That's
the big
awesome.
thing is that there's only like 2, 3 actual boardwalks in California. So that's why Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk is such a big thing.
Yeah. Dang. Well, that's cool. All right, so
I'll have
Vampire
to
Era,
take you one
we're
day.
on our way into it.
Yeah, let's
But
go.
but I normally, literally, if you know me, you know I cannot stand Nicolas Cage. Like, he just, I don't know what it is about him. He annoys me, but he was phenomenal in this. I don't know what it like. He was just phenomenal. I really did enjoy it. The gore was absolutely insane, but it was like a fun. It wasn't like Terrifier where you're like wanting to throw up. You're like, please stop. It's disgusting. It was like these, like, it was almost like actiony, like these action scenes where they're doing these fighting scenes and like you get punched and there's just like a stream of blood coming out, like in the original Evil Deads, Evil Dead 1 and 2, where there's just like streams of that blood coming out. Loved that. So that definitely won me over. That's all I saw in the theater. On Netflix, I saw The Invitation. Have you guys seen that one from 2022,
No,
from last year?
Yeah, you
I
are
have
your
not seen
vampire phase.
Right? That's what I'm saying. I'm going into a vampire era right now. So, like, serious Crimson Peak and Ready or Not vibes, like that classic, like,
The vibes.
castle, mansion, someone new's getting, introduced into the group or whatever, and you know that something's off and you're just waiting. And then, boom, the twist comes. And you know that I love the twist. And so I didn't see it coming. I was like, I know there's something, but I don't know what it is. And then the twist comes, you know what I mean? And then after the twist, it becomes kind of predictable, that you have this like strong female lead who's going to kick some ass and whatever. It's cool, but it's predictable. You know what I mean? But I really enjoyed it. I thought the lead actress was badass. I thought she did very well. Other than that, so I did a little bit of reading, not as much as Courtney, but I like to read some short stories, like to get in some short stories like HP Lovecraft. Love an HP Lovecraft like short story. And what I've been doing lately is I'll pick out something that I know that there's a movie to, like based on. So I found out that the movie Castle Freak was based off of his short story The Outsider from 1926, and it's pretty very loosely based, but as most like book to movie like short story adaptations, like a lot of like Stephen King's like short stories, or HP Lovecraft's short stories that get turned into movies are. But I read that, solid short story. Always love his stuff. um Set in a castle, of course, hence the name Castle Freak, the movie. But the movie is from 1995, and I loved it. It is like one of your classic Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton duo, like awesomeness. Just the two of them together, I love. Like, I love Reanimator. I adore Reanimator. I love the two of them together. And Jeffrey Combs is like unhinged in this one. He's like, they move into a castle that he was like inherited or something. And he's just unhinged, and you find out all these things that he did in his life because he was an alcoholic. And Barbara Crampton's trying to like forgive him for what he did, but then they find out that there's this like grotesque creature in the castle, hence the name again, Castle Freak. And the Castle Freak, it looks insane. It looks insane. And he's like just doing yeah, there's some disgusting scenes in there too where he's like biting off certain body parts and you're just like, oh god. But
Like
yeah, that's like my
disgusting enough where I can handle, or
oh, you can handle it. It's not that. It's like
because I'm gonna have to run things by you now because I
I
am
know.
not okay.
I'm gonna be like on a meter. It's it's a 2. You can handle it. It's okay.
Lovely.
But yeah, that's kind of my new thing, is to kind of pick out a book or a short story, and then watch the movie. So that's the one I did. And then I also read a Jack Ketchum book. This was my first time reading one of his books. He wrote in 1980 called Off Season. So there's a horror book club in Denver that I like to go to every month. And this was their book for the month, and the book club is actually tomorrow. And it was a shorter one, like less than 200 pages. So I read it while I was on vacation. And it is based off of the legend of Sawney Bean, who I'm like, who is this Sawney Bean person? Apparently, it's this legend of this guy in Scotland who had this clan of cannibals who murdered people and ate them, over 1,000 people in 25 years. Cause I was like, of course I got to look up like what this is. And so, this book was kind of based off of that. And, Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes was also loosely based off of this, Sawney Bean character, which I thought was cool. And like in the book club tomorrow, like we're going to watch The Hills Have Eyes and then we're going to discuss the book. So like, that's my new thing. I'm like, this is kind of cool. I like this, but,
That's such a fun setup. I love that.
Isn't that so fun? I'm like, I'm down for this. This is really cool. So this book, man, and this is not me trying to be a tough guy by any means. You guys know me. I don't really get scared by much. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a jump scare person. Like, you know, like when people watch a horror movie and oh god, like I don't
Me?
I don't know if right. and like it's not any offense, like everybody's different, but I think like it comes back to the job. Like I see so many everyday really scary things that like I love to watch horror movies because I'm like, it's fake. It's fake. It's fake. You know what I mean? But there's two things that really bother me, and it's home invasion. So your girl will never be watching Strangers. I hate Strangers. I did watch it like way back in the day when it came out. I was terrified. I hate that movie. And anything to do with torture. Oh, it bothers me so bad. And what did this book have? Both. I'm like, why?
Oh.
Why? So like, on the cover, it had like a Stephen King quote, because you know how like they'll put Stephen King quotes to kind of like hype up the
Every
book.
horror
Like,
book has Stephen King.
I swear to God, every book that I've read has a Stephen King hype quote on it. And it said, if you read this book on Thanksgiving, you will not sleep until Christmas. And I was like, yo, that's the realest quote I ever read in my life, because I was reading it when I was at my brother's house, and like his kids would go to bed early and they'd go to bed and I would read at night. And I was terrified. I'm like, oh my God, someone's going to break in this house. I'm so scared. So it's basically about these, like this like clan of cannibals, and it's set in Maine. So serious Stephen King vibes. And it's set in Maine, and like this woman and her sister and a group of their friends are in this house, and these cannibals who are living out in the woods and have been living out there for years attack them, and there's torture, and they like put them up on like they hang one of the girls from a tree over a fire, and they're like cooking her. I'm like, bro, I'm scared.
Are you having a Terrifier moment?
Yes. See, it happens
Where
to
you're,
all
like,
of us. Don't.
stuck?
Yeah. I'm like, it happens to all of us. Don't worry, Courtney. Oh
my gosh.
God. So yeah, that one's gonna haunt me for a little bit. Especially
It's
living
okay.
alone. I'm like, oh God. Every noise, I'm like, they're out to get me, man. They're here.
No, you've got home defense cats.
You just saw two of them. They're crazy, man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Who was that, by the way?
the first one was Katniss, the calico, and the other one was Simba, my boy cat. He's white. He's all white. Crazy characters that they are. But yeah, that was it for me. Just a couple movies and a couple books, but really excited to go see The Evil Dead and Power Rangers on Netflix, baby.
I'm really excited for there's a decent amount of horror coming out. I am so thrilled for Talk to Me. It looks really cool. It's the new
I don't think I've
A24
seen
film that's coming out. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I haven't seen the trailer
kind
for
of
that.
like I'll link it in the show notes and I'll show you guys after this.
Okay.
But it's kind of like set in a party, like a lot of A24 films are starting to do. And they use I'm spacing on the scientific name, but it's when you send your body through the chemical process of maintaining it after you pass. It is not mummification.
Plastification?
It's what we do now. Like coroners will put in formaldehyde with the body, but they call it like it's like a preserving method. It's like a preserved hand. Someone in the comments, please tell me what I'm trying to think
I
of.
know. We're making ourselves look bad, Austin. Like
Hey,
should
we're not
be.
part of the coroner's office.
Yeah,
okay?
that's true. Everyone thinks CSIs know like everything. I'm like, no,
No,
we're separate from
no.
the coroner's office. They know all of that medical stuff. We don't.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It's such a small part, but it's basically a preserved
Yeah.
human hand, and you shake it and you say, "Talk to me," like you would with the mirror, with Bloody Mary.
Mhm.
And it's like a really messed up party game, and it basically sends. It almost reminds me like of a monkey paw type story. And I'll show you
Yeah.
the trailer so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But I'm really interested. A24 is hit or miss with me, but this one looks really good.
Yeah, same. Cool. That one sounds
Okay.
awesome.
Sure.
Yeah. Any other horror that y'all are excited for?
I saw, but this isn't until October. I'm like, come on, October. I hate the summer, and the summer's coming up. So, but in October, I saw that they're doing a Five Nights at Freddy's. Are you guys familiar with that video game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seems
they're doing
terrifying.
a live action, like Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm so stoked.
That's
Well,
gonna be
I'm
cool.
just excited for Final Destination 6.
When is that supposed to come out? Is that this year?
I don't remember. I gotta look it up. But it's got first responders involved. So
yeah,
super
it would be
excited
really
for
cool
what
to see a
that's gonna be
CSI
about.
involved, man. You know.
No,
And
I
like
bet it's going to be EMTs.
of course. It's like
I bet
we're
it's
never in a
EMT.
deeper role other than like you see us like taking picture over a yellow placard. I'm like, come on, get
Yeah.
us involved. Like, come on, give us a better part than this.
Or you'll see like they'll have 6 CSIs working.
Yeah,
No,
that's my favorite
no.
part.
You'll
You'll have a million.
What freaking office has 6 CSIs that can work a case? No, it's going to be 1, 2 if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
God. Yeah.
Get us off our
Yes.
rant, please. Get us off our rant.
Well, we're all properly traumatized. I'm still traumatized from the bedroom scene in Terrifier. Nikki is traumatized from home invasions and torture, and Austin is
Yep.
traumatized from having seen videos of 6 CSIs when he has had to work so many by himself.
Yeah. Friggin' jerks.
So true. It's so
All
true.
right. Well, that is April. If there is anything we missed or some things you want us to dive further in, I will not be watching Terrifier 3. I do not care how much you guys want me to. And
No.
with that, tune in for our next kind of deep dive. It will be posted second week of May. And then another one of these episodes will be the end of May. And it was nice hanging out with you all.